Hi there, it's Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I'm creating two fun Halloween cards. I don't generally send out Halloween cards, but I think they are some of the funnest to make, and so I'm making two of them. And part of the reason I'm making this video is because I wanted to share the stencil that I received, and I received it because I made a minimum purchase at Maker Forte, and it was an event that was going on, I think the week before last, and or maybe it's even the beginning of September. And with the minimum purchase, you receive the stencil, which is super cool. And it's sad that it's not available in the shop, but you can definitely create your own hat. And then with other stencils, you have create the different designs on it. I don't know if this will be released or not, or if it's just for the freebie, but I wanted to share this because the design of the stencil, it has two holes in it for a binder, and it also has the name of the company and the name of the stencil engraved on it, which I think is super cool, and especially for layering stencils like this, to have it all in one sheet is just perfect. So I am taking a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock for this first card and inking it up in the Maker Forte Limewired ink. I also did one in purple, which is the color Purple Rain. And I just blended the ink through the stencil using that main or solid stencil. And then for the design on this one, I am going to use the spider web, and I am using one of my favorite glitter paste, and it's from Creative Expressions. It's called Glitter Kiss, and this is Frosty Sparkle. And the thing I love about the Frosty Sparkle is it doesn't have a gold in it. So I like the Moonstone from Nuvo as well, but if you look at that, it has almost like a gold base, and this is just almost pure white. So it's very white. It doesn't have those kind of gold tones to it when you shine it in the light, and so it's absolutely one of my favorites. So I went ahead and I used that through the stencil. And then for the green hat, I'm going to use some acid wash ink and blend that through the stencil with my brush. And then I'm also going to take some black ink, and this happens to be Eclipse black ink from Maker Forte. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that over as well. And I think it just gives a really pretty combination of the blue and the black. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the panel for that hat. And so I'm using the acid wash ink again, just blending a little bit of that onto a piece of cardstock. And I'm going to use the sheer shimmer spray, which gives a really nice sparkle to the background. And then I'm also going to use a little bit of liquid black acrylic paint and add a bunch of black splatter to the background. So I just take a little bit of the paint and add a little bit of water, and then this is how I normally splatter. I just tap the brush. And then I'm going to grab this Slimline die from Dare to be Artsy. I think this is called a Wavy stitched or wavy dotted slimline die. So I took the main panel and I ran that through my die cut machine, and then I also took a piece of black cardstock and ran that through with that same die. And I'm going to use all of these pieces to add just a little bit of something to the card. I thought it was a little plain with just that centerpiece, and so I'm going to add one of those wavy strips each to the bottom on each side underneath that main panel, and I'll adhere that to my card base or my card panel. And then I'm going to take each of those little strips and adhere those on each side, just leaving a tiny little space in between so that there is a little bit of white space peeking out. And so I'm going to do that on both sides of the card, and then I will trim off the excess. And then I'm going to take some foam and pop up the hat. And the sentiments that I'm using actually for both of these cards is a set from Just Francisco. It is called All Season Sentiments. It comes in a 6x6 and a slimline pack. I'm using the slimline pack. I love these because you can foil them, and they're just really quick and easy sentiments. I love the fonts. Or the handwriting, and so it really is all seasons for throughout the year. And so the sentiment that I'm using for this one is called Witches Be Crazy. And then I also use a few little jewels, and that will complete the first card. For the purple card, I'm going to go ahead and grab another stencil And this one is called Caught in My Web. But I wanted to show the glitter first because I just think it's beautiful. So I'm going to use this stencil. I'm going to do a little bit of dry embossing. I am using a piece of Accent Opaque white cardstock. And then for my big shot, this is how I set up the stack to do some dry embossing. I take away that extra piece that I'm usually using when I'm die cutting. I'm going to use my magic mat, but if you don't have that, you would just use your cutting plate. And then I'm going to put my rubber piece on top of that, and then the cardstock, and then the stencil, and then the other cutting plate on top. And I run this through twice. And I really love the pattern on both sides, so I actually flip it over and use the other side for my card panel. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of that Purple Rain ink and add some to the card to bring out the spider webs a little bit. And I messed up on this. I got a big old splotch of ink on the side, and so I'm going to end up trimming the panel down to get rid of that splotch. And then I'm going to spray my panel with some more of that shimmer spray. And then I'm going to adhere that purple panel to this piece, so I'm just adding a little bit of the Limewired ink to the side and adhering that spider web panel. And then just to trim it off a little bit, I'm adding that piece of black cardstock. And then I use a little bit of foam to pop that hat up. And for this card along the right hand side, I'm going to use some little clay slices. They're like little cobwebs, and so I'm going to go ahead and just adhere those pieces all the way down that right side where that green ink is. I added a few embellishments, and then after I had finished filming, I thought it was a little bit plain, and so I ended up adding a few more. And again, the sentiment is from that same sentiment set that I mentioned earlier. And that will finish my 2 cards off. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video or find it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I hope to see you soon.